Assalamu alaikum, it's me, Layla Abdullah-Poulos with NbA Muslims. This video I will not be reviewing any books. This video is the top 5 NbA Muslim fiction reads for 2015, as well as anticipated reads for 2016. 2015 has been a really great year. I got the opportunity to read a lot of great fiction by Muslim authors and to meet Muslim authors via Facebook and Twitter and all of that stuff, because we live in all different parts of the country and the world. So social media has been our friend in this case. And so I really just kind of wanted to showcase the ones that I particularly liked. I'm also going to give a little insight into some of the books that I became interested in reading for 2016. These authors and their books piqued my curiosity, so I'm going to feature 5 of those as well. So let's get started. I like this book. Abdulaziz was very brave in tackling an issue that plagues society, including Muslim communities, and that's domestic violence. In this book, the main character, Zara, is in an increasingly violent marriage, and she has to decide whether or not she's going to stay in that marriage. And so Abdulaziz does a really good job in showing some of the things that a victim of abuse may face from her family, her community, and the broader society. What was also interesting was the reaction of the Muslim men. So Abdulaziz does a really good job in kind of showing what can happen in these situations if good men decide to do little or nothing in stemming abuse that someone may be going through. So, The Broken Half by Sahar Abdulaziz. Check it out. I like this book because it deals with an issue that young Muslim girls and Muslim women have to face when they're living in a majority non-Muslim society, and that is identity and whether or not to cover. The main character, Anaya, is an African-American Muslim girl. However, her mother converts to Islam and remarries, and so she moves Anaya to a Gulf country. So Anaya spends quite a few years of her youth in a Gulf country where she's allowed to dress and identify as a Muslim. Her parents decide to move back to the United States. And initially Anaya is very excited because she gets to spend time with her father. And she was also looking forward to having her life in the United States. Excitement is quickly dashed when she faces anti-Muslim bigotry in her high school. So she has to decide whether or not she's going to cover and continue to identify as a Muslim. What she decides and the things that happens to her is very, very interesting. So Zakiyyah does a really good job at addressing the issues that young Muslim women go through as they navigate through a majority non-Muslim society. It's not always pretty. They're very brave for what they do, and they should be applauded and supported by the Muslim community. I also think this book is really, really relevant to our current situation in the United States, with Muslim women being targeted with anti-Muslim bigotry and harassment. So, Muslim Girl by Zakiyyah, check it out. And I can't help but have a really big smile on my face when I read this book. This is a really interesting book. It's a really fun read. Elle Muslimah does a really good job in capturing the attention of the reader as the reader follows 4 friends who go through trials and tribulations and triumphs together in their relationships. Deals with a lot of different cultural issues that are specific to being an American Muslim, being an African American Muslim. I know that some people have given her flack for her execution of the book. However, I think that whatever flaws there are in the book, it doesn't detract from what is ultimately a really, really great read. I always tell that I really like the book if I finish reading it within a day or two, and I finished reading this book within a day or two. I couldn't put it down. I kept on telling the kids, shh, shh, leave mommy alone, let mommy finish the book. So it was really, really a fun read to go through. So the Real Muslim Housewives of Philly by Elle Muslimah. Check it out. This was a long book, and I think I've made it pretty well known that I'm very hesitant to read books that are over 300 pages. I'm just really a product of our video clip society. If you can't tell me a story within 300 pages, I'm really not interested in that story. This book is a really, really excellent story. It is, well, she's like at 300, a little over 300 pages, but it was really worth it. The story centers on the main character, Pamela. Pamela has a significant other, Tyrone, who's incarcerated. While he's incarcerated, he tells her that he's become Muslim. So she becomes interested in becoming Muslim, and she decides to become Muslim. And however, she doesn't really decide whether or not she's going to stay with Tyrone, because in comes Ibrahim, this dashing Muslim police officer who is interested in Pamela himself. When Tyrone gets out, he realizes that there is a rival for his object of affection. He doesn't appreciate that either. And there are a whole lot of other things. There are a couple of love triangles in this one. It's a really good book of romance, but it's also a really good book because Sharif does a good job in showing some of the things that someone that converts to Islam in the United States may face and undergo. He does it with more than one character, which is really, really great, because it makes it more than just one-dimensional, where it's like, this is what all Muslims go through. She does it with a couple of characters, so you can see that there are differences. The conversion process can be very, very different, and after conversion, what can happen can be very, very different as well. And also just, it's really, some of the stuff that some of the characters do in this book is pretty interesting. So it really kept my attention, so I do recommend it. Khadijah's Life in Motion by Jatasha Sharif. I have to admit, American Boy was my favorite read for 2015. Zara J is a seasoned author. She's done urban fiction, and she's decided to do Muslim fiction. I'm really glad she did, and I can't wait for her to do more. The main characters in this book are very imperfect, which I always like. I love my flawed heroes and heroines. And so we have Omar, who is a successful a Moroccan-American Muslim man. He comes from a traditional Muslim family. He was brought up in practicing his faith, and he has a little slip-up. He has a one-night stand with a non-Muslim co-worker, Celine, and it results in a pregnancy. Omar and Celine have to decide what they're going to do regarding this pregnancy, and some of the things that they decide to do is just as imperfect as you can imagine. Omar doesn't handle things well at all, and also he is while he's trying to decide what to do with Celine, his crush blows back into town, and it turns out she's free to court, and so he decides to court two women at once, and Celine is not appreciative of that. There are a lot of things that she does and he does that gives you pause, but Zara J does a really good job in showing that there is imperfection in being Muslim. Muslims are tested. Sometimes they pass those tests, sometimes they don't pass those tests. And also what can potentially happen in relationship between Muslims and non-Muslims. So it was really, really interesting to watch that relationships unfold. So American Boy by Zara J. Check it out. And also check out the videos that I did for the video reviews that I did for these books, and on to the anticipated reads of 2016.